Hello everyone, excuse the bed hair, but I have something to quickly say, a little channel event coming up. So tomorrow at around 2 to 2:30, between that bracket, I will be live streaming the Silly Lobster gig that I will be performing at. So come join and you can see me and the rest of the band play. But if you can't make it, that is okay as well, because I will upload it afterwards, so you'll still get to see it. That's it, and enjoy the rest of the video. Wow. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new video. As you guys know, the new Maiden record's been out for a few days now. I listened to it. I finally got around to listening to it with my dad. We sat down and listened to the whole thing. This version, the vinyl version, and yeah, I think it's one of their best. This isn't going to be like a proper review or anything, it's just going to be me talking about what I liked about the album and all that kind of stuff. It's basically a review, but it's not structured the way that I did my previous reviews. I'm just going to talk about the album as a whole. This is going to be filled with spoilers, so if you haven't heard the album yet, go listen to it, come back, and we can talk about it. This album, it felt like a bridge, like there was a bridge between Book of Souls, especially the last track on the album, and then the first track on this album, which is the self-titled. So I recommend listening to that end bit of Book of Souls first, because it kind of has a nice transition, and it kind of showed the future of what Iron Maiden's music were going to become 6 years ago. It was a lot more proggy. I think they really truly embraced their progressive rock roots within this album. As you know, Iron Maiden are predominantly a heavy metal band, and you know, all the really early stuff is more metal orientated and all that kind of stuff. And then when they did Seventh Son, it was like, okay, this is a bit more progressive, possibly even Somewhere in Time. This is a bit more progressive than your typical heavy metal group. You hear that, I think, from that point onwards. I'd say maybe from Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which is the last track on Power Slave, onwards, they became more progressive. And they stayed true to the kind of heavy metal bit, but I feel like they became more of a prog band after that. And this album is more of a modern progressive metal album than a heavy metal album. And the reason I think that this is one of their best albums yet is probably for that reason, is that they've had one of the best musical evolutions I've seen. From starting out in 1980 up until now, 2021, I think their albums only just got better. Their albums got better with time. You know, I mean, when we had the first album of the 2000s, Brave New World, from then on, I think they just got better and better and better. I think this is what that was leading up to. It had a lot of great moments that were, like, very foreboding, if that makes sense. So, like, there'll be points where, like, there's a massive build-up, and you'd have the stereotypical Iron Maiden, you know, dual guitars and all that kind of stuff. It felt like an Iron Maiden record, but more of a progressive rock record. There were keyboards on this album, which both me and my dad pointed out, and we're like, you can't escape now, it's definitely progressive. The lyrical content, you know, just the musicianship in general, I mean, it felt like a prog album. It felt like that, the way that the songs were structured, and a lot of the songs were over like 5 or 6 minutes. So there you go. There's your progressive rock album right there. And each of the longer tracks did have multiple sections in them. So it wasn't like 10 minutes of like your standard Iron Maiden dual guitar, you know, Bruce screaming at the top of his lungs kind of thing. It was more like, okay, there's like multiple sections in this, and there's a lot to dissect rather than previous stuff. You can actually pick out a lot of more interesting things. And I've re-listened to this album since, and I thought it just keeps getting better the more I listen to it. My favourite track was The Parchment, which is, I think, the second to last track on the album. Badass track, had one of the best intros I've heard in like recent albums that I've listened to. This definitely will trump the new Yes album for sure for me. I haven't actually listened to the second single that Yes released, I think like last week or something. I've really just not been motivated to listen to it, so I'm just scared of it's gonna be bad or it's gonna be whatever, because the first one was alright. I just couldn't get over the auto-tune vocals, I'm sorry. But going back to Iron Maiden, this was definitely worth that 6-year wait. I think they spent a lot of time on this one. The production was outstanding. If you're not familiar with Iron Maiden, go check out their... I'd say if you're more of a progressive rock fan, they're kind of mid-80s to about early 90s. My favourite album of theirs is still Seventh Son, but this one is probably up there in my top 5 now. This is an outstanding album. And I saw a lot of people complaining about the length of the album and all that kind of stuff and all the musical breaks and all that. It's a prog album. It's long, it's an hour and 20 something minutes. It's a long progressive rock record. And if you don't want to admit that, fine. But that's how I perceived it when I listened to it. On first listen, I knew it straight away, you know. It's different, but it's a good different. So I'd suggest go getting yourself a copy of this. This version is the red and black vinyl, which looks really cool. I'll show you that now. I mean, look at these inner sleeves. Aren't they just amazing? And that is the vinyl. So it looks fantastic and sounds fantastic. Production is amazing. It's really, really good. Everything's so clear and crisp and it just works. And the vocals, well, they sound great. He's still got it. He's still got that vocal talent, even since when he joined Iron Maiden in 1982. Bruce Dickinson definitely still has it. He definitely has that theatrical voice as much as he did back when he joined Iron Maiden. As it felt like a theatre experience, and it just felt really, really good. Really great bass lines from Steve Harris, the master of that kind of galloping bass technique, which I'm still trying to get down myself as a bassist. I felt that even though they have 3 guitarists, nothing was swamped under the sound. Everything was, as I said, production was great. Everything you could hear perfectly. All 3 of them are really fantastic guitarists, and the drumming was really, really super as well. I feel like I'm missing something. But the keyboards as well that they added into this record were really, really great. So I suggest going and getting yourself a copy of this album. I'm hoping to get the CD version soon so I can take it with me to university because I can't take this version, sadly. Thank you guys for watching. This is just a little video I thought I'd make, just talking about it. You know, as I said, Iron Maiden are one of my favourite bands. Are my favourite band, you know, of all time. This isn't like, oh, I like it because it's them. Because there are stuff of Iron Maiden's that I don't like. I don't really like No Prayer for the Dying. Not a big fan of the Blaze Bayley era of Iron Maiden. There are bits and pieces of theirs that I don't particularly like. But this was fantastic, and it's better than Book of Souls in my opinion. And Book of Souls was fantastic. Go get it, go listen to it, and you'll probably say the same thing as me. Oh yes, this felt like a progressive rock record. Merch is in the description as always. It's a great way to support the channel if you wish to. The social media links are also in the description, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. The reason the bassist video was not uploaded on Sunday is because both me and my dad were under a lot of stress for our own personal reasons, so that will come again this weekend, hopefully, if we're feeling a lot better. And yeah, see you guys soon. Bye bye.